this is an Indian movie, to be specific, Telugu movie. So with Telugu, you know exactly what to expect. You know the kind of movie to expect. You know the kind of action to expect. And when I went into this, I knew exactly what to expect, but still, I was kind of disappointed. Why? Because I think this has a lot. First of all, if I was to give this out of 5, I would give this a 2.7 out of 5. It's there's just something about the cinematography, and here's the thing about Indian movies. Indian movies have mastered cinematography. I think for them, cinematography is it's something that they don't even discuss. It's a given. You know, they've mastered it, they understand it, and they apply it in all their movies. Good cinematography. I kind of like the look of the film, but it's everything. This feels like a Zack Snyder film. This feels like it was made by an inexperienced Zack Snyder fan. Yeah, because there's a lot of slow-mo. There are a lot of there is just so much posing. There are just so many moments that they ignore everything else. Now, this being an Indian movie, you'll get the emotional moments, you'll get the clear protagonist, you'll get a clear antagonist. In the way they look, their mannerism, their motivations. The bad guy is the bad guy. Clearly, it's the bad guy from the look, from everything. You know that that's a bad guy. And the good guy, they're going to make him look like the good guy. And here they go all out with the good guy. And I mean, every action scene is a setup for the good guy. Every before anything evil happens or before people get in trouble, is a setup for the hero, the good guy. And when he walks in, it's a moment. Unnecessary sometimes, but they will stop the movie for the particular hero to get a grand entrance. And the hero is called Daaku. It's supposed to be some, I don't know, there's just so much symbolism in the movie, like any other Indian movie when it comes to religion. There's just so much about a particular god. I think it's Maharaja or the god of death or something. So there's a lot of that. And I was like, there's something in the movie, you can actually see it, especially because this feels like two movies. You have the first movie up to the middle part, and then in the middle part there's something else that happens. Now you go back into who are these people, where did they come from, Daaku, who was he before, who are these villains, where did they become, how did they become who they are, and why are they the villains. So you learn about their mining projects and their relationship because they're brothers, and actually where they came from and where the conflict actually happened. And I'm like, that part of the movie was pretty interesting. The second half of this movie, there's a story there. The story about mining and people being oppressed and water. That whole thing for me was something else. The first half is more of politics, there's poaching, and that's the thing about this movie, it's so convoluted. Oh my gosh, there's so many things that are happening. There's so many characters that we have to follow that sometimes I just felt frustrated in how it was all jumbled up, because the editing doesn't really help. Everything is just put together in a huge pot and stirred. It's actually really confusing, because I was genuinely trying to follow this movie. You know why? There's another Indian movie on Netflix called Maharaja, which is absolutely awesome. It's so well done. This movie, this poster, it's perfection. It's one of the best movies that I saw from last year. I absolutely enjoyed it. And for this particular movie, I had to wait up to, say, the beginning of the second hour. That's where things started pissing up, because the first hour was things were being thrown at you. You didn't know what was happening until the second hour, where they brought everything together, and it just blew my mind. So I assumed that these guys were going to follow the same formula, whereby the first hour you don't really get what's happening. Then in the second hour, they put everything together, they package everything together in such a way that it blows your mind. But they don't do it here. And I think one mistake that they made is with the action set pieces. Because the action set pieces is jumbled up action, then slow-mo, a pause, you know, a slow-mo moment for the hero, and then jumbled up action, then a pause, a slow-mo, leaves flying, things flying in slow-mo, then a pause for the hero, then jumbled up action very quickly, then, The choreography is so poor. And it's not poor in terms of how it's performed, it's poor in how it's captured. You don't give people time to actually watch the action. You just get a person who's been punched, then they're flying off screen. You cut to the hero turning in slow mo because he's just hit that person. And I'm like, it would have been better if you would have just placed the camera away and shown us the action while he was hitting that person. There are crazier Indian moments whereby you see, those over the top movements that you see, either it's with the cars, even with the opening, the car just flying up and leaves flying in slow mo. You get a lot of that. And I'm like, I think these are too much. You could just have stepped back a bit and paid more attention on framing the action better. If people are fighting, there are moments like that you get, like there's one in a hospital where you almost get that. But again, quick cuts, incoherent cuts from particular actions, because now they focus so much on setting up the good guy. They just focus on setting up the hero. They just focus on, yes, this conflict is happening right now, but we want that moment when the hero comes in. We want that moment where everything stops and the hero just walks in slow mo, and then they're supposed to fight this bad guy, and then suddenly he remembers something, and then he becomes heroic again, and then he has to kill that person unceremoniously, and then slow mo, and then play the Indian music. I'm like, dude, just oh man, there's an opportunity to just slow down everything and actually let us see the action. Let us see these people fighting. Let us see, tension build and give us a good payoff, because there's a villain across the second half. Man, the final fight, underwhelming, man. It was absolutely underwhelming. I just wish it had more punch. I wish there was more than the slow mo. We had like proper beat 'em up action between the two, because what you get here is they hit each other with a few things, and then obviously the bad guy has to get his moment to give a monologue, and then the good guy has to remember something and just do something, and then the movie ends. And I'm like, what, really? Anyway, but I think for me, one of the biggest crimes that I think they did in the film, usually I don't know if they were inspired by John Wick. I'm a pet person, but I'm all about cats. I'm not really a big fan of dogs. I just prefer cats. But there's a dog in this movie, Brownie. Justice for Brownie, man. I don't like what they did with Brownie. Yeah, I usually don't like to see that. I wish they would have handled that differently. I wish Brownie was hurt rather than whatever they did. Now, in terms of the emotional moments, you get some really good moments, especially in the second half. Daaku and the little girl, I like their relationship, but that second half, there was a lot of potential, especially when you go to the mines and just follow these people, whatever was happening there. Because I thought the politics of it all, and the poaching, and just adding all these other things, they just convoluted everything and presenting too many bad guys, man. Just narrow it down to one person or two people. Where you have brothers, then you have these other political people, you have this butcher guy who transforms at the end. There was just too much happening within one movie. So yeah, there's a potential in the middle of the film, the second half of the film, but generally it was underwhelming. I didn't feel inspired to even watch another Indian movie, because there are a lot of new Indian movies. I wasn't inspired. So basically that's it. Man, if you're watching this and you are part of the production team that did this movie, or you are an Indian producer who actually makes this movie, just calm down with the slow-mo. I know it's epic. I know there's some really epic moments in this movie. Like there's one moment that is clearly out of a Ghost Rider comic book or something, where the tires are on fire, everything is on fire, and this guy is still in the car, and he like puts out the axe to like light up. There are cooler moments, but you don't need to spend so much time with those cool moments that you take away from the fight scene. You take away from where people actually fight, because that's the essence of action. I know that slow-mo is cool. I know that killer poses whereby everything is on fire, the hero is standing there drinking something, that looks very cool. But we also need to see the action. So yeah, this was kind of, it's an Indian movie, so there's music. There are a few songs that I actually liked, but I don't know. It's a 2.5, 2.7 there. It's average. It's mid. You're going to laugh if you have friends because of some action set pieces. There's one with a car and trees. You're going to laugh, and then there are now the missed opportunities. There are just so many missed opportunities within the movie that I don't think this is just there. It's just there in the middle. It's just there. It's just okay. It's just a movie. So basically that's it. Remember to always watch what you enjoy and enjoy what you watch. I shall see you on the next one. Adios.